Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Mystery Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring some of the world's hardest to explain paranormal mysteries and asking why these strange reports keep returning across time. These are the cases that make people pause. They ask whether a house can store memories, whether voices can be spoken between worlds, and they ask whether the unseen realm is closer than we think. Some stories begin with a sound in an empty room. Others begin with a witness who expected nothing unusual. Again and again, the details seem too precise to ignore, yet too strange to explain with ease. That is where the mystery begins. Paranormal accounts have always lived at the edge of ordinary life. They appear in old family stories, in ancient manuscripts, and in modern recordings that leave people wondering what they really captured. If you enjoy these curious journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders relax and notice your eyes grow heavy. And as the day begins to gently fade away, join me as we explore this mysterious world together. Let's begin. The most ordinary homes have produced impossible knocks and voices. A cupboard door opens after everyone has gone to bed. A wall answers with 3 taps when nobody is on the other side. A child hears a familiar voice calling from a room that is empty. These are the reports that make paranormal mysteries so difficult to dismiss completely, because they often begin in places that feel completely normal. There is no ancient castle, no hidden chamber, and no dramatic warning. There is only a family home, a kitchen light, and a sound that should not be there. Some people believe these moments are signs of spirits trying to communicate. Others think a house may somehow hold emotional energy from the people who lived there before. Skeptics look for pipes, wood, pressure, and suggestion. Yet in many accounts, the timing feels personal. The sound arrives when someone is listening, and that is what keeps the mystery alive. Ancient ghost stories suggest hauntings have followed humanity from the beginning. Long before cameras, recordings, and paranormal investigators, people were already telling stories about the dead returning. Ancient tablets, old burial customs, and early religious writings all show a deep concern with restless spirits. This matters because hauntings are not just a modern entertainment idea. They seem to be part of a very old human pattern. In some traditions, the dead appeared because they had unfinished business. In others, they needed proper rites before they could move on. Some people see these old accounts as proof that humans have always sensed something beyond death. Others believe the stories reveal how strongly grief can shape the imagination. The most curious part is how familiar many of these ancient reports still sound. A figure appears near a bed. A voice gives a warning. A presence lingers near a place it once knew. Across centuries, the basic pattern remains strangely recognizable. Some witnesses report apparitions that appear before anyone knows someone has died. These cases are among the most unsettling in paranormal history because the timing is so difficult to explain. A person sees a loved one standing at the foot of the bed, only to learn later but the person passed away around that exact moment. In other accounts, a figure appears briefly in a doorway, looking calm and ordinary, before vanishing without a word. The witness may not feel fear at first. The shock comes afterward, when the connection becomes clear. Some people call these crisis apparitions, and they believe the spirit is making one final visit. Others suggest the bond between 2 people might carry information in a way we do not yet understand. Skeptics point to memory errors, coincidence, and the strange way grief can reshape time. Still, the strongest accounts feel precise. They arrive before the news, before the phone call, and before any obvious reason to imagine farewell. The Bell Witch case still feels too strange for a simple explanation. In the early American frontier, one family claimed their home became the center of an invisible disturbance that could speak, move objects, and torment them by name. The story became famous because it was not described as a vague haunting. It sounded like an intelligent presence with opinions, moods, and a disturbing interest in one household. The force was said to answer questions, mimic voices, and draw visitors who wanted to witness the impossible for themselves. Over time, the case grew into a legend with many layers. Some people believe it was a real spirit attack. Others suspect family conflict, folklore, exaggeration, or a prank that escaped control. There are even suggestions that the entity behaved less like a ghost and more like something pretending to be one. That possibility gives the case its strange power. It feels less like a simple haunting and more like a presence testing human belief. Electronic voice phenomena suggest silence may not always be empty. At first, the idea sounds almost too strange to take seriously. Someone records an empty room, plays the audio back, and hears a faint word that was not noticed at the time. Sometimes the voice seems to answer a question. Sometimes it sounds like a name, a warning, or a short phrase buried under static. Many listeners hear only noise. Others hear something direct enough to raise the hair on their arms. Paranormal investigators often treat these recordings as possible messages from spirits. Some people go further and wonder whether the unseen world may use electricity as a bridge. Skeptics argue that the human brain is built to find speech inside random sound, especially when expectation is strong. Yet the mystery remains tempting because the evidence feels strangely intimate. A recording can be replayed. A voice can be shared. For believers, that makes the unknown feel almost within reach. Shadow people are reported across cultures with unsettlingly similar details. The accounts often begin the same way. Someone wakes in the night and notices a dark human shape near the wall, the doorway, or the corner of the room. It has no clear face, yet it seems aware. In many reports, it disappears the instant attention settles on it. The similarity of these stories is what makes them so fascinating. People from different places describe tall silhouettes, quick movement, and a feeling of being watched. Some connect the experience to sleep paralysis, where the body remains frozen while the mind becomes partly awake. That explanation fits many cases, but not all of them satisfy every witness. Other people believe these figures are spirits, interdimensional visitors, or beings that exist just outside normal perception. The most famous version wears a hat, which makes the pattern even stranger. One detail repeats, and suddenly folklore begins to feel like a shared report. The Enfield poltergeist turned a quiet house into a national mystery. In a suburban home in North London, a family claimed that furniture moved, knocks echoed through the walls, and a young girl spoke in a voice that did not seem to be her own. The case became famous because reporters, neighbors, and investigators entered the house, while the activity was still being reported. That gave it a rare sense of immediacy. It was not just an old legend told years later. It unfolded in front of witnesses who disagreed about what they were seeing. Some believed the events showed genuine poltergeist activity. Others thought the children had staged at least part of it. The mystery is complicated because both ideas may live side by side. There may have been tricks, but some moments still troubled experienced observers. That is why the case endures. It sits in the uneasy space between childhood mischief, family stress, and something that may not have been human at all. Some haunted objects seem to carry stories from owner to owner. A painting is sold, and the new owner begins to notice unease in the room. A doll changes hands, and strange incidents follow it into another house. A piece of furniture feels wrong to every person who brings it home. Haunted object stories are powerful because they suggest a mystery that can travel. The disturbance is not tied to a building. It moves with the thing itself. Some people believe objects can absorb emotion, especially when they are connected to fear, grief, or intense attachment. Others think certain items may act like anchors for spirits that refuse to leave. Skeptics often point to suggestion. Once a person is told something is cursed, every creak and accident begins to feel meaningful. Yet the most intriguing stories begin before anyone knows the reputation. The owner senses something first. Then they learn the history, and the object suddenly feels less like property and more like evidence. Near-death experiences have changed skeptics into lifelong believers. People who return from the edge of death sometimes describe experiences that feel more real than ordinary memory. They may report leaving the body, hearing conversations from a distance, meeting deceased relatives, or entering a place filled with overwhelming peace. Medical explanations exist, and they are important. The brain, under extreme stress, can produce vivid perceptions. Yet some accounts contain details that patients say they could not have known through normal senses. That is where the mystery becomes difficult and deeply personal. A person may have lived for decades with no belief in an afterlife, then come back changed in a way that never fades. They may lose fear of death. They may describe life as if it continues beyond the final breath. Some people see these stories as glimpses of another realm. Others see them as the brain's final masterpiece. Either way, the testimony often carries unusual emotional force. The Mothman sightings came before a tragedy many still connect. In the 1960s, people around Point Pleasant, West Virginia, reported seeing a tall, winged figure with glowing red eyes. The description sounded impossible, yet multiple witnesses insisted they had seen something real. The creature became even more famous after the collapse of the Silver Bridge, when some connected the sightings to a warning that had not been understood in time. That connection is debated, but it gave the legend a haunting shape. Was the figure a monster, an omen, or something else entirely? Some people suggest it may have been a misidentified bird made frightening by darkness and panic. Others imagine a being that appears before disaster, not to cause it, but to signal that something is wrong. The case remains powerful because it blends creature lore with prophecy. It also raises a chilling idea. Perhaps some paranormal encounters are not random events. Perhaps they arrive ahead of history. Bley Rectory became known as England's most haunted house. The old Essex building gained its reputation through stories of footsteps, bells ringing without explanation, and messages that seemed to appear from nowhere. Visitors described a strange atmosphere, and investigators became fascinated by the idea that the house held more than one presence. One famous strand of the legend involved a nun, though the details are tangled with rumor and uncertain history. That is part of the reason the case remains so interesting. Bley was never just a single clean report. It became a storm of claims, investigations, doubts, and dramatic retellings. Some people believe genuine events were buried under exaggeration. Others think the legend grew because everyone who arrived expected a haunting and found one. After the rectory was damaged and eventually demolished, the story did not disappear. In a strange way, losing the building made it more powerful. The place became a memory, and the mystery became harder to examine. Many crisis apparitions appear only once and at a precise moment. There is something strangely specific about these encounters. A figure appears at the exact time someone is in danger, dying, or reaching a life-changing threshold. Then, it never returns. This makes the phenomenon different from ordinary haunting stories, where activity may repeat in the same place for years. A crisis apparition behaves more like a message than a resident spirit. The witness may see a friend, a parent, or a partner, often with no dramatic gesture. The presence is simply there, as if making contact required all its strength. Some people believe these experiences reveal a hidden link between minds under emotional pressure. Others argue that coincidence can become powerful when matched with shock and grief. Yet many accounts feel too calm and too well-timed to be dismissed easily by the people who lived them. They suggest a possibility that is both comforting and strange. Perhaps final thoughts can travel farther than we imagine. The Amityville haunting remains famous because the accounts sharply disagree. The story became one of the most recognized paranormal cases in the world, partly because it was tied to a real house and a deeply troubled history. The family who moved in later described terrifying events, including strange sounds, foul smells, and behavior they believed was beyond ordinary explanation. The case exploded into books and films, which made it even harder to separate testimony from storytelling. Some people believe the house was genuinely disturbed by earlier events. Others argue that the claims were exaggerated, shaped for publicity, or influenced by fear before the family even unpacked. What makes the mystery endure is not just the haunting itself. It is the conflict around it. The believers sound certain. The skeptics sound certain too. Between those positions sits a question that never fully goes away. Can a place become so marked by human darkness that later residents feel something waiting inside it? Poltergeist activity often seems centered around one living person. In many cases, the strangest events do not seem tied to a dead person at all. Objects move, knocks sound, and disturbances flare up around a particular individual, often a young person under pressure. This pattern has led to one of the most fascinating paranormal ideas. Maybe some so-called hauntings are not caused by spirits, but by the living mind releasing energy it does not know how to control. The theory sounds wild, but it explains why activity may follow a person from room to room and then fade when emotions change. Skeptics see a different pattern. They suspect pranks, stress, attention-seeking, or misunderstanding. Still, not every witness accepts that explanation, especially when the activity happens in front of adults who are watching closely. The possibility is unsettling because it turns the mystery inward. The ghost may not be outside the person. It may be something hidden inside human consciousness. Certain old battlefields are said to replay sounds from long ago. Visitors to historic battlefields sometimes report hearing drums, marching, distant voices, or the clash of events that ended generations earlier. These accounts are different from ordinary ghost sightings because they often feel impersonal. The sounds do not seem to notice the listener. They repeat like an echo caught in the land itself. This has led to the idea of a residual haunting, where intense emotion may somehow imprint itself onto a place. Some people compare it to a recording, though nobody knows what the recording medium would be. Others think the mind fills silence with history when standing in a place loaded with meaning. That explanation may fit some experiences, but witnesses often describe details they did not expect. The mystery becomes more compelling when several people hear the same thing at once. If a location can hold memory, then the past may not be as gone as it seems. The brown lady photograph still divides believers and careful investigators. One of the most famous ghost images ever taken appears to show a pale figure descending a staircase in an English country house. The picture became iconic because it has the shape of a classic apparition, yet it was captured during a formal photographic assignment rather than a ghost hunt. That gives the image a special kind of tension. It looks staged to some eyes and deeply strange to others. Believers connect it to an old family legend about a woman said to haunt the property. Skeptics examine exposure, lighting, movement, and possible photographic error. The debate has lasted because the image sits perfectly between evidence and uncertainty. It is clear enough to fascinate, but not clear enough to settle anything. That may be why it remains so powerful. It shows just enough to invite belief, and just little enough to keep the argument alive. A staircase becomes a courtroom for the unseen. Many people report hearing their names called by unseen voices. This experience is surprisingly common, and it often happens in an ordinary moment. Someone is washing dishes, walking through a hallway, or about to fall asleep, when a voice says their name. It may sound like a parent, a partner, or someone they know well. When they answer, nobody is there. Everyday explanations can be reasonable. The brain is sensitive to names because they matter to us, and it can mistake stray sounds for familiar speech. Tiredness can also sharpen the illusion. Yet some stories are harder to place in that category, especially when the voice wakes a person just before danger or draws attention to something important. In folklore, being called by an unseen presence can be a warning, a trick, or a sign of contact from the dead. The smallness of the event is what makes it eerie. Nothing appears. Nothing moves. Just one word changes the room. Sleep paralysis has inspired terrifying paranormal explanations for centuries. A person wakes in bed and cannot move. The room feels charged. A presence seems to stand nearby, press down, or watch from the darkness. Modern medicine explains much of this through a temporary mismatch between dreaming and waking. The body remains locked in sleep mode while the mind becomes aware. That explanation is strong, but it does not erase the power of the experience. Across history, people have interpreted the same state through spirits, demons, witches, and night visitors. The descriptions differ by culture, yet the core feeling is often the same. Something is there, and the sleeper is helpless. Some people believe the medical account explains the mechanics, but not every detail. They wonder whether sleep paralysis opens a doorway where the mind can perceive things usually hidden. Skeptics disagree, but even they admit the hallucinations can feel completely real. It is a natural phenomenon with a supernatural shadow. The Stanley Hotel became legendary because guests kept reporting strange experiences. High in the Colorado mountains, this grand old hotel became associated with unexplained music, moving objects, footsteps, and the feeling that unseen residents still occupy certain rooms. Its fame grew after it helped inspire a major horror story, but the reported activity has its own life beyond fiction. Guests have described hearing piano sounds when no performance was happening. Others claim children can be heard laughing in hallways at strange hours. The building's age, layout, and reputation all add to the effect. A skeptic might say people arrive ready to be frightened, so ordinary noises become paranormal evidence. That may explain some accounts. Yet hotels are fascinating, haunting settings because so many lives pass through them without staying long. They collect departures, secrets, and unfinished emotions. Some people believe that creates a kind of spiritual traffic. At the Stanley, the question is whether visitors are meeting a legend or helping to keep one alive. Some mediums claim unknown details that families say they never shared. A sitter arrives hoping for comfort, and the medium offers a name, a habit, a private phrase, or a small memory that seems impossible to guess. These moments are why mediumship remains one of the most argued areas of the paranormal. For believers, accurate details suggest that consciousness survives and can still communicate. For skeptics, the explanation may involve careful observation, broad statements, lucky hits, or information gathered in ways the sitter does not notice. The strongest claims are the ones where the detail is specific, unexpected, and meaningful to the family. Even then, interpretation can be difficult. Grief makes people listen closely, and a single correct statement can outweigh many misses. Still, the emotional impact is real for those who experience it. The mystery is not only whether a message came through. It is why certain words can feel as though they crossed a boundary no one fully understands. The Winchester Mystery House feels designed around fear of the unseen. The California mansion is famous for staircases that lead nowhere, doors that open into walls, and rooms added in a pattern that seems almost impossible to follow. The usual story says Sarah Winchester kept building because she feared spirits connected to the rifle fortune. Whether that version is fully true is debated, but the house itself keeps the legend alive. It does not feel like a normal home that later became haunted. It feels like a puzzle built under pressure. Some people believe the odd design was meant to confuse spirits. Others suggest the endless construction gave a grieving woman a sense of purpose. There are also claims that certain rooms still carry an unsettled charge, as though the building process never truly ended. What makes the mystery so compelling is the physical evidence. You can walk through the strange architecture and feel the question under your feet. Many haunted mirrors are believed to hold more than reflections. Mirrors have always made people uneasy because they show us a world that looks real but cannot be entered. In haunted object stories, they often become surfaces where faces appear, shadows move, or a room seems slightly different from what stands behind the viewer. Some traditions treat mirrors as doorways. Others cover them after a death, as though the soul might become trapped there, or something else might look back through the glass. The idea sounds old-fashioned until you hear modern accounts from people who claim a mirror changed after entering their home. A reflection lags. A figure stands behind them for one impossible second. A cold feeling gathers near the frame. Skeptics point to lighting, expectation, and the brain's weakness for faces in dim conditions. Still, a mirror is a perfect paranormal object because it already feels half impossible. It shows the familiar, but always from another side. The Tower of London has centuries of ghost stories attached. This fortress has held kings, prisoners, guards, and secrets, so its haunted reputation feels almost inevitable. Visitors and staff have described pale figures, strange footsteps, and sudden sensations in places where history feels unusually close. The most famous tales are tied to royal tragedy, but the deeper fascination comes from the building itself. It is not one room with one legend. It is a whole complex where power and fear once lived side by side. Some people believe locations with repeated human intensity become charged over time. Others think the stories grew because the tower already carries a heavy reputation. Both ideas can exist together. A place known for confinement and ceremony invites the mind to listen for echoes. Yet certain reports are oddly specific, especially when they come from people who were not seeking a ghost. That is why the tower remains so magnetic. Its stones seem to remember more than records can hold. Some children describe past lives with details their families cannot explain. The most intriguing cases often begin very early, when a child speaks about another home, another name, or a death they seem far too young to invent. Sometimes the details are ordinary rather than dramatic, which can make them feel more convincing. A child may mention a street, a relative, a profession, or a personal habit from a life no one in the family recognizes. In some cases, adults later find real people who appear to match parts of the account. Skeptics point to suggestion, overheard information, imagination, and the way adults can unconsciously shape a child's story. Yet there are reports that remain difficult for families to dismiss. The child may show strong emotion about places they have never visited. They may fear something connected to the earlier life. Then, as they grow older, the memories fade. That fading gives the mystery a strange tenderness, as if a door quietly closes. The Fox sisters helped launch a movement that changed spiritual history. In the 1800s, two young sisters in New York claimed they could communicate with an unseen presence through knocks. The reports spread quickly because the method seemed simple, almost domestic. People could ask questions, count the responses, and feel that the dead were answering from just beyond the walls. Their story helped ignite modern spiritualism, which filled parlors with seances and gave grieving families a new way to imagine contact after death. The case later became tangled with confession, doubt, and reversal, which makes it even more fascinating. Some believe the sisters exposed a trick. Others think the later explanations never fully erased what people experienced during those early demonstrations. The real mystery may be how one small household event grew into a cultural wave. Whether fraud, gift, or something between, the Fox sisters changed the way millions thought about the boundary between the living and the dead. Many people claim pets react first when a haunting begins. Animals notice sounds and movements humans miss, which makes their behavior especially interesting in paranormal stories. A dog may stare at an empty corner, refuse to enter a room, or growl at a hallway where nothing appears. A cat may track something invisible across the ceiling with absolute focus. Practical explanations are easy to imagine. Pets hear pipes, smell animals outside, or respond to tiny environmental changes before people do. Yet owners often insist the reaction feels different from normal alertness. The animal may seem afraid of a particular spot, with no obvious cause. It may behave as if someone familiar has entered the room. Some people believe pets can sense spirits because they are less distracted by ordinary human thinking. Others say we project our fears onto them. The strange power of these stories comes from trust. When a pet reacts, many people feel the house has given them a witness. The black-eyed children's stories spread through modern folklore with eerie consistency. The usual account begins with a knock on a door or a tap on a car window. Outside stand children who speak calmly and ask to be let in. They may want a ride, a phone, or shelter, but the witness feels an immediate wrongness before noticing the most disturbing detail. Their eyes appear completely black. These stories became famous through the internet, yet they feel older than technology because they echo folklore about invitations, thresholds, and beings that cannot enter without permission. Skeptics view them as urban legend, copied and reshaped by each retelling. Believers wonder why the emotional pattern stays so consistent. The children do not usually attack. They ask. They wait. They make the witness feel that saying yes would cross a line. That restraint is what makes the legend so memorable. It turns politeness into a paranormal trap and makes an ordinary doorway feel dangerous. Some ghost lights appear in the same remote places for generations. Across lonely roads, marshland, rail tracks, and desert edges, witnesses have described unexplained lights that drift, hover, vanish, or seem to follow travelers. And these lights often become local legends because they return to the same area again and again. Practical theories include vehicle headlights, swamp gas, electrical effects, and reflections shaped by distance. Sometimes one explanation fits a particular location well. Yet other reports persist because the light moves in a way that feels purposeful to the people who see it. It may approach, retreat, split apart, or reappear after everyone has stopped speaking. In some communities, the lights are connected to lost spirits or old tragedies. In others, they are treated like guardians, omens, or signals from something hidden in the land. What makes them so compelling is their simplicity. No figure speaks. No story is required. A light appears where darkness should be, and generations keep returning to look. The Queen Mary's haunted reputation grew from repeated visitor reports. The ocean liner has lived more than one life, and that gives its ghost stories unusual depth. It was once a luxury ship, then served during wartime, and later became a floating hotel. Each chapter added different emotions to the vessel. Guests and staff have reported footsteps, voices, splashing sounds, and figures in areas connected to the ship's working past. Some accounts focus on the engine room. Others involve corridors where the sense of movement never fully disappears. Skeptics argue that a large old ship naturally creaks, echoes, and unsettles people who already know its reputation. That is reasonable, but the repeated nature of certain reports keeps curiosity alive. A ship is a strange haunted place because it is both building and machine. It carried thousands of private stories across the water. Some people believe those stories did not all disembark when the voyages ended. Many psychics describe information that seems hidden from ordinary senses. A psychic may hold an object and describe the person who owned it. Another may walk into a room and sense a history that nobody has spoken aloud. These claims invite both fascination and doubt because they challenge the everyday idea of how knowledge works. There are many possible explanations. Some readings rely on observation, intuition, or broad statements that sound personal. Some may involve chance. Yet supporters point to moments where the information seems too specific to be dismissed. A name appears. A private memory surfaces. A detail connects to something not easily guessed. Some people believe the human mind may have abilities that modern life has trained us to ignore. Others think the mystery lies in perception, not the supernatural. We notice more than we realize, then experience the result as sudden insight. Either way, psychic claims remain compelling because they suggest that the boundary of the senses might not be fixed. The Dybbuk box became famous as a modern haunted object. The story centers on a small cabinet said to contain a restless force from Jewish folklore. After it was sold, owners connected it with nightmares, bad luck, strange smells, and a feeling of oppressive presence. The tale spread widely because it gave the haunted object tradition a very modern shape. There were online listings, interviews, collectors, and investigators, all circling one unsettling question. Could a simple box hold something intelligent? Some people believe the object became dangerous because of a spirit attached to it. Others think the legend itself did the work, turning fear into expectation and expectation into experience. There are also doubts about how much of the story was shaped for attention. Yet the case remains fascinating because the box became more than an object. It became a container for belief. Every person who heard the story added weight to it, until the legend felt almost as powerful as the thing inside. Some houses seem calmer after rituals meant to clear spirits. Across many traditions, people have used prayers, blessings, smoke, sound, or spoken intention to change the feeling of a troubled place. The paranormal question is whether these rituals truly remove a presence or whether they help the living regain control over fear. In many accounts, the activity becomes less intense afterward. A room feels lighter. Sleep returns. The family stops noticing knocks, shadows, or pressure in the air. Skeptics may call this a psychological reset, and that explanation can be meaningful in itself. When people believe a home has been protected, they may stop feeding the cycle of anxiety. Yet some reports describe changes that seem too immediate and too physical for comfort alone. Objects stop moving. Voices stop. Pets relax near the spot they once avoided. Whatever is happening, the ritual marks a turning point. It tells the house that the people inside are no longer simply waiting to be frightened. The Philip experiment suggested a group might create a ghost. In the 1970s, a Canadian group invented a fictional man named Philip giving him a personality, a past, and emotional conflicts. Then they tried to contact him through seance methods. The astonishing claim is that the group began receiving knocks, table movements, and responses, as if Philip had become real in some strange way. Because he was invented, the experiment raised a mind-bending possibility. Maybe some paranormal entities are not spirits at all. Maybe focused belief can create a temporary intelligence, or at least produce effects that imitate one. Skeptics suggest group expectation, unconscious movement, and storytelling explain the results. Yet the idea continues to fascinate people who wonder whether consciousness is more active than we think. A ghost may not always be a visitor from the dead. In the strangest version of the theory, it could be built by attention, fed by imagination, and given a voice by the group that expects it. Many graveyards have legends that locals treat with quiet seriousness. A cemetery can become a map of community memory, and that makes its stories feel different from ordinary ghost tales. Locals may know which path to avoid, which stone is linked to strange sounds, or which figure appears near the gate after dark. These legends often pass from older residents to younger ones without needing much proof. The place itself provides the atmosphere because every marker already says that lives were once here. Some people think graveyard hauntings are simply the result of expectation. When we stand among the dead, the mind naturally becomes alert. Others believe burial places act as thresholds, not because they are frightening, but because love and grief are concentrated there. What makes local legends powerful is the way they become shared knowledge. Even people who laugh at the story may lower their voice when they tell it. The mystery survives because the community keeps treating it as possible. The Greenbrier Ghost case entered the courtroom record in West Virginia. This strange case began when a young woman died under suspicious circumstances, and her mother later claimed the daughter's spirit appeared with information about what had happened. The remarkable part is that the ghostly claim became connected to a real investigation and eventually to a criminal trial. That does not mean a court officially proved the existence of ghosts, but it does make the case unusually memorable. It stands at the crossroads of folklore, family grief, and legal history. Some people believe the mother truly received a message from beyond the grave. Others think she may have suspected the truth already and expressed it through a vision she believed was real. Either way, the case shows how paranormal experiences can enter practical life. A haunting was not just whispered about beside a fire. It became part of the public story, and that gives the Greenbrier Ghost a unique place in American mystery lore. Some people report shared dreams with details matching real events. A person wakes after dreaming of a friend in trouble, only to receive news that something happened during the night. Two relatives dream of the same deceased family member on the same date. A symbol appears in sleep, then becomes meaningful in waking life. Shared dream stories are hard to verify, but they are difficult to forget when they happen to you. Dreams already feel private, so any connection beyond the sleeping mind feels extraordinary. Skeptics point out that people dream constantly, remember selectively, and connect patterns afterward. That is a fair caution. Yet some accounts include details recorded before the event was known, which makes them more intriguing. Some people believe dreams loosen the usual barriers of time and distance. Others think they reveal emotional signals we sensed unconsciously while awake. The mystery is not just whether the dream predicted something. It is why sleep sometimes feels less like escape and more like reception. The Sally House became known for disturbing reports from investigators. This Kansas home became famous after residents and later paranormal teams described intense activity that seemed focused, personal, and sometimes hostile. The story grew because investigators claimed to capture odd readings, strange sounds, and unsettling responses during visits. One of the most discussed elements is the idea of a childlike presence named Sally, though some believe that identity may be misleading. In paranormal cases, names can be comforting because they make the unknown feel understandable. Yet a name can also become a mask. Some visitors came away wondering whether the force in the house was not childlike at all. Skeptics argue that reputation, fear, and expectation can turn every noise into evidence. Still, the case remains popular because people describe the location as unusually oppressive. It is not only about sightings. It is about atmosphere, reaction, and the sense that something in the house studies whoever enters. That feeling is difficult to measure, but powerful to hear. Many haunted hotels have one-room guests repeatedly asked to avoid. Hotels are perfect engines for paranormal rumor because strangers arrive, sleep, and leave behind reports that the staff quietly remember. Over time, one room may collect a reputation. Guests complain of lights switching on, touches in the night, voices near the bed, or dreams that feel unlike ordinary dreams. The most fascinating detail is repetition. Different people, staying at different times, describe similar discomfort without knowing the earlier stories. Of course, there may be practical causes. A room might sit near pipes, elevators, vents, or street noise. It might also look unusual enough to make people uneasy. Yet hotel workers sometimes notice patterns they cannot easily explain. The same room produces calls to the front desk. The same room receives requests to move. Some people believe these spaces hold emotional residue from former guests. Others think the building teaches visitors what to fear. Either way, a room number can become a legend. The third man phenomenon appears during extreme danger and isolation. Explorers, climbers, shipwreck survivors, and people near exhaustion have reported sensing a helpful unseen companion beside them. The presence may guide them, encourage them, or simply walk nearby when they are alone. Unlike many paranormal encounters, this one is often comforting rather than frightening. It seems to arrive when the person most needs to keep going. Psychological explanations are strong here. Under stress, the brain may create a companion to preserve focus and hope. Yet the experience can feel independent, as though someone real has entered the moment. Some people interpret it as a guardian spirit. Others believe it may be a higher part of the mind separating itself in order to help the body survive. The mystery is tender because it asks a surprising question. When a person reaches the edge of endurance, does the mind invent company, or does something unseen step closer because help is needed? Some cameras capture figures nobody remembers seeing at the time. The story usually begins after the event is over. A family checks a photograph, a tourist reviews a video, or an investigator watches footage from an empty room. Then a shape appears in the background. It may be a face in a window, a figure at the end of a hallway, or someone standing where nobody remembers a person being. These images are compelling because they seem to catch the witness off guard. Nobody was trying to see the strange figure in the moment. Explanations range from motion blur to reflections, double exposure, compression artifacts, and ordinary people missed in a busy scene. Still, some pictures resist easy comfort because the figure appears too placed, too human, or too connected to a location's history. Believers argue that cameras may register things our attention misses. Skeptics say images are full of accidents. Between those views, the photograph becomes a small, frozen mystery. The Myrtles Plantation is surrounded by layered ghost stories and debate. This Louisiana property is often described as one of America's most haunted homes, but its mystery is complicated by the way legend and history have become tightly woven together. Visitors hear stories of apparitions, unexplained footsteps, handprints, and a famous mirror said to reveal faces from the past. Some accounts are linked to people said to have lived or died there, although not every detail matches the historical record. That tension makes the place more interesting rather than less. A haunting can grow from fact, rumor, tragedy, tourism, and imagination all at once. Some people believe genuine experiences occurred, then became surrounded by dramatic additions. Others think the entire reputation shows how a place can become paranormal through storytelling. The Myrtles endures because visitors continue to report strange moments. Whether they meet spirits, expectations, or a mixture of both, many leave feeling the house has answered them in some way. Many cultures describe household spirits that protect or disturb families. Long before modern ghost hunting, people imagined unseen beings living alongside them in the home. Some were treated as helpers who guarded the family and kept order. Others became troublesome if neglected, insulted, or ignored. These traditions appear in different forms across the world, which suggests a deep human instinct to personify the atmosphere of a house. A home is not just a shelter. It has moods, sounds, routines, and sudden changes that can feel almost alive. Some people believe household spirits are real beings who attach to places and families. Others see them as a way of explaining luck, tension, illness, or domestic disorder before modern language existed. Yet the old idea remains oddly relevant. Even today, people say a house feels welcoming or angry. They speak of a room that never feels right. Household spirit lore gives that feeling a name, and sometimes a set of rules for living with it. The Rendlesham Forest incident blends ghostly lights with strange aerial mystery. In late December of 1980, military personnel near a forest in Suffolk reported unusual lights and a strange object close to the ground. The case is often discussed as a UFO event, yet parts of it feel almost paranormal in a broader sense. Witnesses described beams, odd movement, markings, and an atmosphere of confusion that seemed to bend the ordinary rules of a night patrol. The location has since become a magnet for competing explanations. Some point to a lighthouse, bright celestial objects, and military misperception. Others believe trained observers encountered something genuinely unknown. A few go further and suggest the event may have involved more than a craft. They imagine time distortion, hidden technology, or contact from a realm we barely understand. Rendlesham fascinates because it sits between categories. It is not quite a ghost story, not just a light in the sky, and not easily left alone. Some people claim automatic writing produces messages beyond conscious thought. A person sits with pen in hand and tries not to direct the words. Slowly, phrases begin to form. Sometimes the writing feels unfamiliar to the writer, as though another intelligence has moved close enough to speak through the hand. Spiritualists have used this method to seek messages from the dead, while others have treated it as a doorway into the hidden mind. The strange part is that both possibilities are fascinating. If the words come from a spirit, then writing becomes a bridge. If they come from the unconscious, then each person may contain a deeper voice that ordinary awareness rarely hears. Skeptics argue that ideomotor movement and expectation explain much of it. Believers point to unexpected names, unusual phrasing, and information the writer says they did not know. Automatic writing remains compelling because it makes the unknown feel intimate. The mystery is not out in the distance. It arrives through your own hand. The vanishing hitchhiker legend appears in different countries and eras. The basic story is simple. A driver picks up a stranger on a lonely road, often at night. The passenger gives an address, sits quietly, and disappears before reaching the destination. Later, the driver learns the person died years before, usually near the place where they were found. What makes this legend so enduring is its structure. It feels like something that could happen to anyone during an ordinary journey. Many versions include local roads, specific names, and families who recognize the description. Skeptics see it as folklore that adapts to each community. Believers wonder whether some encounters began as real reports that grew into legend through retelling. The story also carries a strong emotional idea. The dead may repeat their final journey, searching for home, help, or recognition. That is why the vanishing passenger remains unforgettable. It turns a routine lift into a brush, with a life that never fully arrived. Many haunted roads have recurring figures seen by late-night drivers. Road hauntings are especially powerful because the witness is moving through darkness, focused on the narrow strip ahead. Then a figure appears when nobody should be walking. Sometimes it stands at the roadside. Sometimes it crosses in front of the car and vanishes before impact. These reports often attach to bends, bridges, tunnels, and stretches linked to older accidents or local legends. Practical explanations include poor visibility, fatigue, animals, and the way headlights distort distance. Yet drivers can be stubborn witnesses because they know the difference between a shadow and a person they nearly swerved to avoid. Some people believe certain spirits remain tied to the route where their final moments occurred. Others think the road itself becomes a stage for repeated fear, especially when stories are shared among locals. The mystery works because travel already feels transitional. At night, a road can seem to pass not only through places, but between worlds. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum draws reports from visitors and researchers. The enormous West Virginia building has a history that is both human and unsettling, which makes its paranormal reputation feel heavy rather than theatrical. People who tour the halls have reported voices, footsteps, sudden cold, and the sense of being followed through, spaces that once held thousands of patients. It is important to treat such places with care because real suffering happened there. That history may be exactly why visitors feel something lingering. Some people believe intense emotion can remain in a building long after the people are gone. Others think the architecture itself creates unease through echoes, shadows, and expectation. Investigators have returned again and again because the structure is so vast that it seems to contain pockets of different atmosphere. One corridor may feel calm, another deeply uncomfortable. The mystery is not just whether spirits remain. It is whether a place built for care, confinement, and sorrow can ever fully empty itself. Some seances produced physical effects that witnesses struggled to explain. In the height of spiritualism, seances were not only about whispered messages. People reported tables lifting, instruments playing, bells ringing, and objects moving in darkened rooms. Many demonstrations were later exposed as fraud, and that history matters. Tricks, hidden tools, and performance techniques were real. Yet the fascination remains, because not every witness was careless or eager to believe. Some observers were skeptical, educated, and determined to catch deception. A few left puzzled. The seance room created unusual conditions where fear, hope, darkness, and group attention all pressed together. Some people believe those conditions allowed spirits to produce temporary physical force. Others think the human group itself created the effects through unconscious movement or shared expectation. The most intriguing cases are the ones where the event seemed to answer the room. A knock came after a question. A table moved toward a person. In those moments, matter itself seemed to join the conversation. The screaming skull legends warn that certain remains resist removal. In several old British legends, a skull kept inside a house causes chaos when someone tries to move it. The story usually follows a warning pattern. Take the skull away, and the home fills with cries, disturbances, or bad luck until it is returned. These legends sound strange, but they reveal a deep belief that human remains can maintain a connection to place. Some people see the tales as ghost stories about respect and unfinished duty. Others think they were invented to protect relics, family secrets, or local traditions from curious outsiders. The skull itself becomes more than bone. It becomes a contract between the living and the dead. The frightening part is the idea of ownership reversed. The family may think the skull belongs to the house, but the legend suggests the house belongs to the skull. Whether supernatural or symbolic, the message is clear. Some things are not meant to be disturbed. Many witnesses describe cold spots before anything visible appears. A room may feel normal until one patch of air turns sharply cold. People step through it, stop, and look around because the change feels too sudden for drafts. In haunting reports, cold spots often arrive before footsteps, voices, or apparitions. That sequence gives them a special roar. They feel like a warning that something unseen has entered the space. Paranormal investigators sometimes suggest that spirits draw energy from the environment, leaving a chill behind. Others think older buildings create pockets of temperature through vents, windows, stone, and shifting air pressure. Both explanations can sound reasonable depending on the case. What keeps the mystery alive is the way witnesses describe the cold as focused rather than general. It is not the whole room. It is one place, one moment, one invisible boundary. The body notices before the mind has a theory. That is why a simple drop in temperature can feel like the first touch of the unknown. The ancient Ram Inn is linked to centuries of dark folklore. This old building in Gloucestershire has become famous for stories that seem to gather from every corner of its past. People have connected it with strange footsteps, oppressive rooms, uneasy dreams, and legends about earlier uses of the land. Part of its power comes from the way history and rumor blur together. The inn is said to stand near ancient roots and older sacred ground, which has led some to imagine that the building sits on a place already charged before the walls were raised. Others believe its reputation grew through suggestion, because visitors arrive expecting fear and then interpret every creak as confirmation. Yet many who entered the house described an atmosphere that felt unusually heavy. Some investigators claim certain rooms seemed more active than others. The mystery is not simply whether one ghost remains there. It is whether a place can collect centuries of belief until the stories themselves begin to feel alive. Some ghost stories begin with a scent nobody can locate. A room fills with perfume that no one in the house owns. Smoke appears in the air without a fire. A trace of flowers arrives in winter, then disappears before anyone finds the source. These accounts are fascinating because smell is one of the most personal senses. It can bring back memory instantly, and that makes it powerful in haunting stories. Many people connect the sudden scent with a loved one who has died, especially when it matches something closely associated with them. Practical explanations can include cleaning products, old wood, ventilation, or something outside drifting indoors. Yet witnesses often describe the scent as brief, focused, and meaningful. It appears at a moment of grief, decision, or remembrance. Some believe spirits use scent because it reaches the emotions before doubt has time to speak. The evidence leaves no photograph and no recording. It leaves only certainty in the person who breathed it in. The Mary Celeste inspired paranormal theories despite practical explanations. When this abandoned ship was found adrift in the Atlantic, the crew was gone, and the vessel still held many ordinary signs of life. That strange combination made the case irresistible. A missing crew is unsettling enough, but a ship that appears almost interrupted invites bigger ideas. Over time, people imagined sea monsters, mutiny, storms, madness, alien forces, and invisible terrors rising from the water. More grounded explanations focus on weather, faulty equipment, cargo concerns, or a mistaken decision to abandon ship. Yet no single answer has completely ended the fascination. The paranormal versions survive because the scene feels like a story with its most important page removed. There is no final witness to tell us what the crew saw or feared. Some mysteries become larger because the silence is so perfect. The Mary Celeste remains one of them. It is not only a maritime puzzle. It is a floating invitation to imagine the impossible. Many people report footsteps in empty hallways at the same hour. The repetition is what gives these accounts their force. A family hears measured steps crossing the landing at night, and the sound returns again the next evening. A hotel worker listens to slow movement above, even though the floor is locked. A caretaker knows the hour before the first step falls. Ordinary buildings produce noises as temperature changes, and old floors can speak loudly after dark. Still, people often recognize the difference between random settling and a rhythm that sounds like someone walking with purpose. The timing can make the event feel less like a noise and more like a routine. Some believe a former resident is repeating a habit that mattered in life. Others imagine a memory trapped in the structure, playing without awareness. Skeptics may say the pattern is noticed only because people begin to expect it. Yet expectation alone does not always explain why the footsteps seem to know the route. The Greyfriars Kirkyard haunting is tied to unusually intense visitor accounts. This Edinburgh cemetery is known for reports that go beyond distant sightings. Visitors have claimed scratches, faintness, sudden fear, and the feeling of being touched by something unseen. The focus is often placed on an area linked to a harsh historical figure, which gives the haunting a specific center of gravity. Such claims invite caution, because strong stories can influence how people feel before they even enter a place. A crowded ghost tour can also heighten suggestion. Yet the intensity of the reports has kept the legend alive. People do not simply say they saw a shape in the distance. They describe reactions that seem to involve the body itself. Some believe the site holds a concentrated negative presence. Others think the atmosphere of old stone, burial ground, and expectation creates a perfect theater for fear. The mystery is powerful because it asks whether belief can bruise or whether something there truly reaches back. Some families believe inherited spirits watch over each new generation. Not every haunting story is frightening. In some families, an unseen presence is treated almost like an elder who never fully left. A child may speak of a visitor matching an old photograph. A relative may sense comfort during illness. A home may seem to produce signs at moments of change. These stories are rarely presented as proof for outsiders. They belong to the private language of a family. That intimacy makes them difficult to judge, but deeply meaningful to those who live with them. Some people believe ancestors remain close because family bonds continue after death. Others suggest that memory itself becomes so strong that later generations feel accompanied by those they never met. There is also a stranger possibility. Perhaps certain lineages carry a repeated pattern of experiences, as though the connection is not to one building but to the bloodline. In these accounts, the paranormal does not invade the family. It belongs there. The Highgate Cemetery panic mixed vampire folklore with real public fear. In the 1970s, a London cemetery became the center of rumors about a tall, dark figure, disturbed graves, and a possible vampire presence. The story drew crowds, occult interest, and newspaper attention. It also showed how quickly old folklore can ignite in a modern city. Vampires belonged to legend, yet people were willing to enter the cemetery at night because they believed something might be there. Some explanations point to rumor, theatrical personalities, youthful daring, and media excitement. Others see the panic as evidence that certain places can awaken older fears still living under polite society. The haunting claims around Highgate did not remain a simple ghost story. They became a public event, shaped by belief and performance. That is what makes the case so striking. It reveals how a cemetery can become a stage where ancient superstition, modern attention, and genuine unease meet under the same name. Many paranormal investigators believe basements amplify uneasy experiences. Basements sit below daily life, and that alone changes how people feel inside them. They are often cooler, darker, and full of mechanical sounds. Pipes tick. Furnaces shift. The ceiling creaks under footsteps from rooms above. Skeptics can explain a great deal through those details. Yet investigators often report that basement activity feels different from ordinary building noise. Voices seem closer. Shadows appear thicker. People feel watched from a corner that contains nothing visible. Some believe lower levels hold emotional weight because they are used for storage, secrecy, and things a household wants out of sight. Others suggest underground spaces may interact with minerals, water, or old foundations in ways we do not fully understand. There is also a symbolic pull. When you descend into a basement, you are leaving the bright part of the house. If something unseen wanted a place to gather, many people feel it would choose the floor beneath us. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium became famous for its haunted reputation. This Kentucky building began as a place connected with illness and care, and its later ghost stories cannot be separated from that history. Visitors have reported figures, voices, footsteps, and sudden emotional shifts in its long corridors. The building is often discussed because its atmosphere feels enormous. It is not a small, haunted room. It is a vast structure where many lives once unfolded under strain. That makes respectful storytelling essential. Some people believe the intense experiences of patients and staff left a trace that can still be felt. Others argue that abandoned medical buildings naturally create fear through scale, decay, and reputation. Both views explain part of the fascination. A former sanatorium already asks the imagination to confront vulnerability. When witnesses claim the building still speaks through sounds and shadows, the question becomes harder to leave alone. Waverly Hills endures because it feels like a place where human history has not fully settled. Some voices on recordings seem to answer questions directly. The most compelling audio cases are not just random words hidden in static. They are the moments where a question is asked, a pause follows, and the playback seems to contain a response. A name is requested, and a faint name appears. Someone asks how many people are present, and a number seems to come through. Skeptics warn that expectation shapes what listeners hear, especially when the recording is noisy. The mind is eager to complete patterns. Yet believers argue that direct responses are harder to dismiss than stray sound. They feel interactive. They create the impression that someone or something understood the room. There are also cases where different listeners hear different words, which makes the evidence slippery. Still, the experience has a strange pull. It turns an ordinary recorder into a possible doorway. For a few seconds, technology seems to become a listening device for the invisible. The Beast of Bray Road blurred the line between monster and spirit. In Wisconsin, witnesses described a creature near a rural road that seemed too strange for ordinary wildlife. It was often said to look wolf-like, yet it appeared to stand or move in ways that made people question what they had seen. The case entered cryptid folklore, but it also carries a paranormal edge. Some accounts make the creature feel physical, with fur, muscle, and sudden motion. Others make it feel more like an apparition that appears where fear and legend already gather. Explanations include misidentified animals, hoaxes, and the effect of darkness on perception. Still, the story grew because witnesses sounded genuinely shaken. They were not always looking for mystery. They were driving through a familiar place when something unfamiliar crossed into view. Some people wonder whether certain monsters are not undiscovered animals at all. They may be temporary forms, appearing through cracks between folklore and whatever waits behind it. Many witnesses report glowing orbs moving with apparent purpose. Small balls of light appear in photographs, drift across rooms, or glide through outdoor spaces in ways that feel deliberate. In many cases, orbs are easily explained by dust, insects, moisture, or camera flash. That explanation is strong, and it covers a huge number of images. Yet not every orb report comes from a photograph. Some people claim to see lights with their own eyes. They describe them turning, hovering, or moving toward a person before fading. Those accounts open a different mystery. Believers sometimes interpret orbs as spirit energy, especially when they appear during emotionally charged moments. Others wonder whether they are natural electrical phenomena that science has not fully mapped in everyday settings. Skeptics urge caution because lights are easy to misread at night. Still, a moving point of light can feel strangely alive. It has no face and no voice, but when it changes direction, the mind asks whether it is aware. The Hampton Court ghost footage remains a strange palace mystery. Security cameras at the famous English palace captured doors opening and a robed figure stepping into view before vanishing from the scene. The footage became widely discussed because it came from a historic location already rich with stories. It was not a blurry photograph taken by a hopeful visitor. It appeared on surveillance equipment meant for routine monitoring. That makes it memorable, even for people who doubt the paranormal explanation. Skeptics suggest a costumed person, a practical joke, or an ordinary incident given a ghostly interpretation. Believers point to the figure's unusual appearance and the palace's long association with restless history. The case is fascinating because it uses modern technology to revive a very old fear. A camera was watching a doorway, and something seemed to pass through the boundary between story and evidence. Whether human, staged, or unknown, the image gave a centuries-old building one more mystery to carry. Some hauntings seem to fade when the building changes hands. A family may report years of disturbances, only for new owners to experience nothing at all. In other cases, the activity begins only after a particular person moves in, then ends when that person leaves. This pattern complicates the idea that every haunting is attached to a place. Perhaps some spirits respond to certain personalities. Perhaps emotional tension in a household acts like fuel. Or maybe reports stop because different residents interpret the same sounds in a less dramatic way. Skeptics see the change as evidence that belief drives the experience. Believers see it as a sign that the unseen world chooses when to engage. There is also the possibility that a house and a person form a temporary circuit. Alone, each is quiet. Together, something switches on. That idea makes hauntings feel less like fixed phenomena and more like relationships, with timing, chemistry, and unseen rules. The Perrin family haunting inspired one of paranormal cinema's biggest stories. In Rhode Island, a family living in an old farmhouse claimed they experienced apparitions, oppressive sensations, moving objects, and a presence that seemed to grow more intense over time. Their story later inspired a famous film, but the real case is more layered than its screen version. Large families create many witnesses, and that can make a haunting both richer and harder to untangle. Different people remember different things. Some experiences feel frightening. Others feel almost curious, as if the house contained several distinct forces rather than one simple villain. Skeptics may point to folklore, stress, and the power of later retellings. Believers see the case as a rare example of a household living for years beside an active, unseen world. What keeps it interesting is the sense of escalation. The family did not merely visit a haunted place. They tried to make a life inside one, and the house seemed to answer. Many people claim a loved one visited them after death. These experiences often happen in the days or weeks after a loss, when grief is raw and the mind is searching for steadiness. A person may sense someone sitting on the bed, hear a familiar phrase, or dream of a farewell that feels unlike an ordinary dream. Skeptics explain these moments through mourning, memory, and the brain's need for comfort. That may be true in many cases, but the people who experience them often describe a clarity that feels different from imagination. The visit may include a message that brings peace, or a simple presence that says nothing at all. Some people believe the dead are allowed to return briefly so the living can endure the first shock of absence. Others see these moments as love speaking through the mind's deepest channels. The mystery remains personal, and perhaps that is why it matters. Not every paranormal experience seeks proof. Some seek goodbye. The Devil's Footprints mystery covered miles of snow with unexplained marks. In Devon during the 1800s, residents woke after snowfall to find a long trail of hoof-like prints stretching across the landscape. The marks reportedly crossed fields, gardens, walls, and rooftops in a way that seemed impossible for an ordinary animal. The story spread quickly because the pattern suggested intention. Something had moved through the night, and nobody knew what it was. Explanations have included hopping animals, birds, weather effects, hoaxes, and misread tracks linked together by frightened imagination. Yet the legend persists because the reported distance and strange route feel so dramatic. Some people saw the marks as a sign of the devil himself. Others wondered about a creature unknown to local knowledge. The deeper mystery is how a community reacts when the ground appears to carry a message from the impossible. By morning, every print had become a question, and every witness had to decide what had passed their door. Some legends describe spirits trapped by unfinished promises. A promise can outlive the person who made it, at least in folklore. Stories often tell of spirits who remain because they failed to deliver a message, protect someone, repay a debt, or return to a place of love. These hauntings feel different from random apparitions. They have a purpose, even if that purpose has become distorted over time. A figure repeats a route. A voice asks for help. A presence lingers near an object connected to the vow. Some people believe the dead may be held by emotional obligations that were never released. Others see these tales as moral stories about responsibility, memory, and the cost of leaving things unsaid. The idea is powerful because everyone understands unfinished business. It does not require ancient ritual or dramatic danger. It begins with a human commitment that remains open. In these legends, a broken promise becomes a chain that even death cannot break. The Whaley House became famous through repeated claims of apparitions. This San Diego house has long attracted visitors because many claim to see figures, hear footsteps, or sense presences connected to its layered past. Its reputation comes not from one single event, but from repeated stories attached to different rooms and former residents. That gives the house a crowded feeling in paranormal lore. It is as if several memories compete for attention under the same roof. Some visitors arrive with cameras and expectations. Others come casually and leave surprised by what they believe they experienced. Skeptics argue that historic homes invite imagination, especially when guides share ghost stories before people explore. Believers point to reports from people who did not know the details but described similar impressions. The Whaley House remains interesting because it feels accessible. It is not lost in ruins or hidden behind legend. People can enter, stand in the rooms, and decide whether the past feels fully past. Many cursed painting stories begin with owners noticing impossible changes. A portrait's eyes seem to move. A painted figure appears closer than before. A background detail changes, or a room feels different after the artwork is hung. These stories thrive because paintings already create a strange kind of presence. A human face on the wall can seem to watch, especially in dim light. Skeptics explain most cases through perspective, memory, lighting, and the brain's tendency to detect gaze. Yet the most enduring cursed painting tales involve patterns that owners claim continued over time. Misfortune follows the artwork. Children avoid the room. Guests feel uncomfortable without knowing why. Some people believe images can hold emotional energy from the artist, the subject, or previous owners. Others think a frightening reputation transforms the way people experience an object. The painting becomes a focus for expectation. Still, when someone swears the face looked different yesterday, the rational answer may not calm the room. The ghosts of Gettysburg remain among America's most reported hauntings. The battlefield draws paranormal attention because its history is vast, emotional, and well documented. Visitors have reported phantom figures, distant battle sounds, strange photographs, and sudden feelings of sorrow in places where fighting once took place. Skeptics point out that Gettysburg is a powerful historical site, and people arrive already aware of its significance. The mind can respond deeply to that knowledge. Yet some reports come from visitors who did not expect anything unusual, which keeps the stories alive. There are accounts of figures in old uniforms appearing briefly, then disappearing into terrain with no path beyond it. Others describe sounds that seem to rise from empty fields. Some people believe major events leave marks on the land that repeat under certain conditions. Gettysburg's mystery is not only about ghosts. It is about whether collective human intensity can become part of a landscape, waiting for the right listener. Some people hear phantom music coming from empty rooms. The sound may be a piano playing downstairs, a music box turning in a closed room, or a melody drifting through a wall with no source. Phantom music stories are haunting because music feels intentional. A creak can be dismissed. A tune seems composed. In some cases, the sound is linked to a former resident who played an instrument. In others, it appears in buildings with no known musical history at all. Practical explanations include neighbors, radios, pipes, electrical interference, and the mind shaping faint sound into melody. Yet witnesses often insist the notes were clear enough to follow. Some people believe music may be one of the easiest forms for the past to repeat, because rhythm and emotion bind strongly to memory. Others wonder whether sound itself can linger in certain spaces. The mystery is delicate, but powerful. An empty room does not need to show a figure if it can sing. The Annabelle case turned a simple doll into a paranormal icon. The doll became famous through claims that it moved, left messages, and carried a presence far more dangerous than its harmless appearance suggested. What makes the case memorable is the contrast between the object and the fear around it. A doll is meant to be familiar, even comforting. Yet when people believe something unseen uses it as a vessel, that comfort reverses instantly. The story grew through investigators who argued that the doll itself was not the spirit, but a tool used by something deceptive. That idea is especially chilling because it suggests the innocent form was part of the trap. Skeptics see a mix of suggestion, storytelling, and the natural unease many people feel around human-like objects. Believers treat the case as a warning that appearances cannot be trusted. Annabelle endures because the mystery is easy to understand. Sometimes the most frightening container is the one nobody expects to fear. Many lighthouse hauntings involve keepers who never truly left. A lighthouse is built for isolation, vigilance, and repetition, which makes it a natural setting for ghost stories. Keepers spent long periods watching the sea, tending the light, and living with weather that could turn dangerous without warning. After such a life, it is easy to imagine a presence still climbing the stairs or checking the lamp. Reports often include footsteps on spiral staircases, doors opening in strong winds, or a figure seen near the lantern room. Skeptics note that lighthouses create unusual sounds through metal, glass, stone, and coastal weather. Yet the legends persist because the role of the keeper feels almost spiritual. One person guards a beam meant to save strangers in the dark. Some people believe that duty can become so deeply rooted that it continues after death. The lighthouse ghost is rarely just a frightening figure. It is often a worker still keeping watch. The Versailles time slip remains one of history's strangest travel claims. In the early 1900s, two women visiting the grounds of Versailles claimed they entered a strange scene, but felt as if it belonged to the past. They described unusual people, old-fashioned clothing, and an atmosphere that seemed suddenly disconnected from the ordinary day. Later, they wondered whether they had somehow glimpsed the time of Marie Antoinette. The account has been debated for decades. Skeptics suggest confusion, misremembered routes, theatrical events, or details shaped after the fact. Yet the story remains compelling because the women presented it as a serious experience, not a fantasy. Time slip claims are fascinating because they do not require a ghost in the usual sense. They suggest that a place might briefly reveal another layer of itself. Perhaps memory is not only held in minds. Perhaps certain locations preserve moments so strongly that, under rare conditions, someone can step too close and see through. Some people believe déjà vu may hint at parallel realities. Most people know the feeling. A moment arrives, and suddenly it seems to have happened before. Science offers several explanations involving memory, attention, and the brain briefly mislabeling the present as familiar. Those ideas are reasonable, but déjà vu remains emotionally strange because it feels so certain while it is happening. Some people take the sensation further and wonder whether it is a tiny overlap with another timeline. Perhaps another version of you made the same choice. Perhaps the mind briefly detects a path it almost took. Others connect déjà vu with precognition, reincarnation, or memories from dreams that were forgotten until the moment matched them. Skeptics see no need for such ideas, but the feeling itself invites speculation because it is both common and uncanny. The mystery lies in how ordinary life can suddenly feel pre-written. For one brief second, the present seems to recognize you before you recognize it. The Banshee legend connects family bloodlines with warnings from the unseen. In Irish tradition, the Banshee is often understood as a female spirit whose cry foretells a death connected to a particular family. The legend is powerful because it makes the paranormal deeply personal. This is not a random ghost appearing to strangers. It is a warning tied to ancestry, grief, and bloodline. Some accounts describe a whale herd before news arrives. Others portray the presence as a mourner from beyond the human world. Skeptics may see the legend as a way communities gave shape to anxiety around illness and loss. Believers wonder whether certain families have unseen guardians who appear only at moments of great change. The Banshee endures because the story holds both fear and care. The cry is terrifying, yet it may also be an announcement that the dead are not taken unnoticed. In that sense, the legend suggests a hidden order surrounding the most difficult human passage. Many hospitals have quiet stories about final visits before death. Nurses and relatives sometimes describe patients speaking to someone unseen shortly before they pass. A person may look toward a corner, smile at a deceased spouse, or say that someone has come to take them home. These accounts are handled with care because they occur during vulnerable moments, and medical explanations can include medication, fever, or the brain's changes near death. Yet many caregivers say the experiences have a distinct quality. The patient may become calm, focused, and comforted by a presence nobody else can see. Families often remember these moments for the rest of their lives. Some people believe loved ones gather near the dying to ease the transition. Others think the mind creates a peaceful final vision from memory and need. The mystery remains profound because it appears at the edge where proof is hardest to bring back. A quiet sentence from a hospital bed can change how a family thinks about death. The Aokigahara Forest carries folklore about spirits and sorrow. At the base of Mount Fuji, this dense forest has long been associated with legends, lost travelers, and a heavy emotional reputation. Any discussion of the place must be respectful, because its modern associations include real human grief. Folklore speaks of spirits connected to abandonment, despair, and the uneasy feeling of being watched among the trees. Natural features add to the atmosphere. The forest can be disorienting, and sound behaves strangely beneath the thick growth. Skeptics may say the reputation shapes every visitor's reaction before they arrive. Yet some people believe places marked by sorrow can become spiritually complicated. They suggest that grief may gather where many people carried their final burdens. Others see the legends as warnings created by communities to explain fear of getting lost. Aokigahara's mystery is not simple entertainment. It asks whether a landscape can absorb sadness and whether the living can feel that weight without knowing its source. Some haunted theatres report actors who continue performing after death. Theatres are built around illusion, emotion, and repeated performance, which makes their ghost stories feel strangely fitting. A figure appears in the balcony after closing. Footsteps cross the stage when the building is empty. A dressing room mirror seems to hold a presence connected to someone who once belonged there. Skeptics can point to acoustics, rigging, old wood, and the suggestive power of dramatic spaces. Yet theatre hauntings persist because performers often develop intense attachments to the stage. A role may be repeated for months. Applause becomes part of memory. The building itself is designed to make absence feel present. Some people believe actors return because their identity was tied to performance more strongly than ordinary life. Others think the theatre records emotion through repetition, replaying moments when the conditions feel right. In these stories, the curtain never fully falls. Something remains in the wings, waiting for its cue. The Island of the Dolls attracts visitors because the dolls seem watchful. South of Mexico City, a small island became famous for dolls hanging from trees, fences, and wooden structures. The story says the caretaker began placing them there after finding a drowned girl nearby, although parts of the tale are difficult to verify. Over time, the collection grew into something far stranger than a memorial. Weather damaged the dolls. Their eyes faded. Their limbs twisted. Visitors began saying the island felt inhabited by more than objects. Some claim the dolls move slightly when no wind is present. Others say they hear whispers or feel watched from several directions at once. Skeptics see an unsettling art environment shaped by rumor and expectation. Believers wonder whether the dolls became vessels for a grief that never settled. The mystery works because the island does not hide its strangeness. It shows it openly, and still people leave wondering whether something there noticed them. Many ancient burial sites are linked to guardian spirits. Across the world, old tombs and sacred graves often come with warnings. Disturb the dead, and something may follow. These stories can sound like simple superstition, but they reveal a serious idea found in many cultures. Burial places were not always seen as empty monuments. They were treated as active spaces with rules, boundaries, and protectors. Some legends describe spirits watching over the bones of rulers. Others tell of unseen forces guarding family ancestors or hidden offerings. Practical minds might say these tales helped prevent theft and disrespect. That explanation makes sense, but it does not fully explain why so many people still feel uneasy when entering ancient resting places. Some believe human remains create a lasting bond with the land around them. Others think the living project their own fear onto places built for the dead. Either way, the message remains strong. Not every threshold invites us to cross it. The Loch Ness mystery sometimes attracts paranormal explanations beyond biology. Most people think of the famous Scottish creature as a hidden animal, perhaps a surviving ancient reptile or a misidentified shape moving through dark water. Yet another strand of the mystery asks a stranger question. What if the sightings are not biological at all? Some people have connected the loch with unusual energy, old folklore, strange lights, and the idea that certain landscapes act as portals. That theory may sound wild, but it explains why the creature appears briefly, avoids clear capture, and seems to belong as much to legend as to nature. Skeptics point to waves, logs, hoaxes, and mistaken animals. Those explanations solve many reports. Still, the loch itself feels built for mystery because it is deep, cold, and difficult to search completely. The paranormal view turns the creature into something larger than a monster. It becomes a sign that some places may produce impossible encounters. Some people claim dreams warned them before major disasters. These accounts are difficult to study, yet they are hard to ignore when the timing seems close. A person dreams of a plane, a building, a flood, or a crowd in danger, then later connects the image to real events. Many such claims are probably shaped by memory after the fact. People have thousands of dreams, and only the matching ones stand out. Still, some reports were written down or shared before the event, which keeps the mystery alive. Some people believe dreams may loosen the mind from ordinary time, allowing fragments of the future to appear in symbolic form. Others think the dreamer senses hidden warning signs while awake, then the sleeping mind turns them into a dramatic story. The fascination lies in the emotional impact. A dream can feel private and unreal, but when the world later resembles it, the boundary between imagination and warning begins to tremble. The Skinwalker Ranch reports mixed creatures, lights, voices, and strange portals. This Utah property has become one of the most discussed paranormal locations in modern America because the claims do not fit one category. Witnesses have described strange animals, aerial lights, invisible forces, equipment failures, and moments that feel almost like openings in reality. That variety makes the case difficult. A normal haunting usually has a pattern. This place seems to offer several mysteries at once. Some people believe the land is connected to old forces rooted in regional lore. Others suspect secret technology, unusual geology, psychological contagion, or a mixture of exaggeration and genuine anomalies. The ranch remains fascinating because investigators have treated it as a serious puzzle rather than a single campfire tale. The strongest pull is the idea that the location itself might be active. Not one ghost, not one creature. A whole area behaving as if the ordinary rules are thinner there than anywhere else. Many churches have legends of bells ringing with no living hand. A bell is meant to call attention, so an unexplained ringing feels immediately meaningful. In old church stories, bells sound at night when the tower is locked, during storms, or at the moment someone important dies far away. Practical causes exist, including wind, loose mechanisms, birds, and changes in old wood or metal. Yet the legends survive because the sound feels too deliberate to dismiss. A church bell has a public voice. When it rings without a ringer, the whole community can become the witness. Some people believe spirits use bells because they already belong to ritual and passage. Others think the sound represents the building itself responding to hidden events. These tales often carry a sense of warning rather than fear. The bell does not attack anyone. It announces. That is what makes the mystery so strong. Something unseen appears to know when the living need to listen. The Chillingham Castle hauntings center on sounds, figures, and old secrets. This Northumberland castle has a reputation built from centuries of history and a steady flow of ghostly claims. Visitors have described footsteps, pale figures, sudden cries, and rooms that seem to change in mood without warning. The building's past includes conflict, confinement, and family legend, which gives every report a heavy backdrop. Skeptics can point to the natural behavior of an ancient structure. Stone corridors carry sound in strange ways. Drafts move through hidden gaps. Visitors arrive expecting something uncanny. Yet Chillingham holds attention because the accounts feel attached to named spaces within the castle. Certain rooms produce certain reactions. Certain passages seem to invite repeated stories. Some believe old buildings with violent or secretive histories become containers for emotion. Others think the castle teaches people how to feel haunted before anything happens. The mystery remains because the place itself seems to collaborate with the legend. Some folklore says crossroads are places where worlds touch. A crossroads looks ordinary by daylight, but folklore treats it as a powerful meeting point. It is where directions divide, choices become visible, and travelers pass without staying. That symbolism has made crossroads important in stories about spirits, bargains, omens, and strange encounters. Some traditions say the dead gather there because the place belongs to no single path. Others treat it as a location where humans may contact forces outside normal life. Skeptics may see these ideas as natural storytelling. A crossroads is easy to remember and easy to fear at night. Yet the repeated belief is intriguing because it appears in many forms across time. People seem to sense that certain places are not defined by what they are, but by what they connect. A crossroads is never only ground. It is a decision made physical. In paranormal lore, that makes it a doorway hiding in plain sight. The Jersey Devil has survived as a paranormal legend for centuries. In the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, stories tell of a strange winged creature with an unsettling shape and a cry that people claim to hear in the dark. The legend reaches back to colonial folklore, yet it still feels alive because sightings continued into modern times. Some descriptions sound like a monster. Others feel more like an omen, a curse, or a spirit attached to the wilderness. Skeptics suggest misidentified animals, local storytelling, and the power of a frightening name. That may explain many reports, but it does not explain why the legend became so durable. The Pine Barrens are vast enough to hide sounds, movements, and imaginations. Some people believe certain landscapes create creatures in the human mind, while others think the creatures were there first and the stories came later. The Jersey Devil endures because it feels both local and impossible, as if folklore learned how to breathe. Many old ships carry stories of phantom crews and impossible sightings. A ship is a moving world, and that may be why ghost stories cling to the sea so naturally. Sailors have reported figures on empty decks, voices in sealed cabins, and vessels appearing in weather where no ship should be. Practical explanations include fog, exhaustion, reflections, and the strange way distance changes shapes over water. Yet maritime legends persist because the sea removes certainty. A witness may see something clearly for a moment, then lose it behind mist or darkness. Some believe crews lost far from land continue to repeat their routes. Others think ships absorb the fear and longing of those who traveled on them. A haunted ship is different from a haunted house because it has no fixed ground. It can appear, vanish, and carry its mystery elsewhere. That mobility makes the legend feel almost alive. The ocean does not only hide wrecks, it may also preserve stories. The Leap Castle stories involve a hidden chamber and restless spirits. This Irish castle is famous for haunting claims tied to family conflict, old violence, and the discovery of a concealed space containing human remains. The hidden chamber gives the legends a physical anchor. Many haunted places rely mostly on atmosphere, but here the architecture itself seems to hold a secret. Visitors have described presences, sudden dread, and an entity sometimes imagined as more ancient than a human ghost. Skeptics may argue that grim history and dramatic storytelling shape the experience before anyone enters. Yet the castle remains compelling because the past feels layered rather than distant. A locked space is uncovered, and suddenly the building seems less like a home than a witness. Some people believe spirits remain when truth has been buried too long. Others think old stone stores fear in ways we cannot measure. Leap Castle endures because it suggests that some houses do not just contain rooms. They contain revelations. Some researchers think hauntings may be memories recorded in places. This idea is known to many paranormal fans as the stone tape theory. It suggests that emotional events might imprint themselves onto buildings, landscapes, or materials, then replay under the right conditions. In this view, a ghost may not be a conscious spirit at all. It may be a recording. That would explain apparitions that walk the same path without noticing witnesses. It might also explain phantom sounds that repeat without responding. Skeptics argue there is no accepted mechanism for such recording, and ordinary explanations cover many cases. Yet the theory remains attractive because it makes haunted places feel almost technological. The wall becomes a storage device. The floor becomes an archive. The past is not alive, but it is not gone either. Some people take the idea even further and wonder whether certain minds can play back those recordings. In that version, the witness becomes part of the equipment. The Lemp Mansion's reputation grew from family tragedy and repeated reports. This St. Louis mansion is linked to a wealthy brewing family whose history includes deep sorrow and several deaths. Over time, the house became known for apparitions, footsteps, moving objects, and guests reporting a presence near certain rooms. The story is powerful because the haunting seems tied not to ancient legend, but to documented family decline. Skeptics may argue that a tragic history gives visitors a script before they arrive. Once people know what happened there, the house becomes easier to interpret as haunted. Yet repeated accounts keep the reputation active. Staff, guests, and investigators have described experiences that feel too personal to them to dismiss as atmosphere alone. Some believe grief can saturate a home when a family's private pain becomes intense enough. Others see the mansion as a reminder that wealth does not protect anyone from sorrow. The paranormal question is whether sorrow can remain after the people who carried it are gone. Many people sense being watched before anything unusual happens. This feeling often arrives before any sound, movement, or visible sign. A person stops in a hallway because the body has reacted before the mind understands why. The neck tightens. The room feels occupied. Then, perhaps, a door creaks or a shape is noticed at the edge of sight. Science can explain much of this through alertness, peripheral vision, and the brain's talent for detecting possible attention from others. Humans survived by noticing when they were being observed. Still, paranormal witnesses often describe the sensation as specific. It comes from one corner, one staircase, or one closed door. Some people believe the feeling is the first contact with a presence that has not yet shown itself. Others think fear chooses a location and then builds evidence around it. The mystery is powerful because it begins inside the body. Before the world changes, the witness changes, and that is harder to ignore. The Dover demon remains unexplained because sightings were brief but consistent. In Massachusetts during the 1970s, several young witnesses reported seeing a small, strange figure with a large head, thin limbs, and unusual movement. The sightings happened over a short period, which makes the case compact and memorable. It did not become a long campaign of rumors across many years. It appeared suddenly, then faded. Skeptics have suggested misidentified animals, imagination, or the influence of darkness and fear. Yet the report shared enough features to keep the case alive in cryptid and paranormal circles. The creature did not fit neatly into familiar categories. It was not a classic ghost, not a standard alien, and not an ordinary monster. Some people think that is exactly why it matters. The strangest encounters often resist our labels. The Dover demon feels like a brief glimpse of something that accidentally wandered into view. It left almost no evidence, but the witnesses gave it a shape that still unsettles. Some ghost hunters believe certain frequencies may trigger paranormal encounters. Sound can affect the body in strange ways, especially when it falls near the edge of normal hearing. Low frequencies may cause unease, pressure, or the sense that something is present. This has led some investigators to wonder whether certain vibrations help explain haunted locations. Perhaps old machinery, wind through corridors, or underground movement creates sensations people interpret as ghosts. That would make some hauntings environmental rather than spiritual. Yet others take the idea in a more speculative direction. They ask whether spirits, if they exist, might communicate through frequency, or become easier to notice when sound shifts the mind into the right state. Skeptics prefer the simpler explanation, where vibration creates fear and fear creates interpretation. Believers wonder why some locations seem to produce both strange feelings and strange events. The mystery is fascinating because it connects the physical and the paranormal. A room might be haunted by a presence or by a pitch. The Edinburgh vaults are linked to whispers, touches, and sudden dread. Beneath the city, these dark chambers have become famous for unsettling reports from visitors and tour guides. People describe voices in empty spaces, unseen hands, rapid mood changes, and a sense that certain rooms do not welcome them. The history of the vaults includes poverty, secrecy, and difficult living conditions, which gives the stories a strong human foundation. Skeptics can point to darkness, confined spaces, and the power of suggestion during guided tours. Those factors matter. Yet the vaults remain compelling because the reactions are often immediate and physical. A person enters one chamber and feels fine. Then they step into another and want to leave at once. Some believe underground places hold the emotions of those who are forced out of sight by society above. Others think the architecture magnifies fear. Either way, the vaults create a powerful question. What lingers below a city that has kept so many secrets? Many legends describe spirit animals appearing before major life changes. A bird lands at the window on the day of a funeral. A deer appears before a difficult decision. A black dog is seen before danger, while a white animal is taken as protection. Such stories vary widely, but they share a belief that animals can arrive as messengers from the unseen. Some people interpret these encounters through ancestral guidance or the return of a loved one in symbolic form. Others believe humans are pattern makers who give meaning to ordinary animal behavior during emotional moments. Both views can feel true to the person who has the experience. What makes spirit animal legends compelling is their timing. The animal appears when life is already turning. It does not need to speak. It simply enters the scene and becomes impossible to forget. In a world full of random movement, one animal at the right moment can feel like a message addressed only to you. The Flying Dutchman remains the world's most famous ghost ship. The legend tells of a doomed vessel seen at sea, often glowing or distant, unable to make port and forced to sail forever. Sailors treated such sightings as omens, especially when weather turned dangerous. Practical explanations include mirages, strange light, and ships distorted by atmospheric conditions. Those explanations are valuable because the ocean can produce astonishing illusions. Yet the legend survives because it expresses something deeper than a mistaken sighting. A ship that can never arrive is a perfect symbol of human defiance, punishment, and endless wandering. Some people believe the story began with real sightings that became supernatural through fear and repetition. Others think the ghost ship represents the sea itself, which gives and takes without explaining its decisions. The Flying Dutchman endures because it is simple, visual, and haunting. A vessel appears on the horizon where no vessel should be, and every sailor knows not to take that lightly. Some paranormal cases become stranger because skeptics witness them too. A believer seeing something unusual can be dismissed as expectation. The case changes when a doubtful witness reports the same event. This does not prove the paranormal, but it complicates the easy answer. Skeptics may be more careful observers because they are actively looking for tricks, errors, and normal causes. When they still leave puzzled, the story gains weight. These moments occur in haunted houses, seances, field investigations, and private family experiences. A person arrives ready to laugh, then hears a voice from an empty room or sees an object move without an obvious cause. Later, they may still resist the ghost explanation, but they cannot honestly say nothing happened. That tension is fascinating. The strongest mysteries do not always turn skeptics into believers. Sometimes they create a third category. A witness remains cautious, but now carries one experience that refuses to fit inside their old certainty. The Villisca House is known for uneasy feelings and reported activity. This Iowa house is tied to a real and tragic crime from the early 20th century, so any paranormal discussion requires respect. Visitors have reported children's voices, moving objects, strange sounds, and emotional heaviness inside the rooms. The history alone is enough to affect anyone who enters. Skeptics may argue that knowledge of what happened creates the response. That explanation is understandable, especially in a place associated with grief. Yet some visitors insist they experienced activity before learning certain details, or noticed sounds that seemed independent of expectation. The house remains controversial because tragedy can easily become entertainment, and careful storytelling should never forget the people involved. Still, the reports raise a difficult question. Can a place marked by fear and loss continue to hold an echo of that event? Some believe spirits linger there. Others believe memory itself has weight. Either possibility makes the house feel less like a museum and more like an open wound. Many remote mountains have legends about hidden beings and strange lights. Mountains create isolation, silence, and weather that can change quickly, so it is no surprise that they gather strange reports. Hikers and villagers have described distant lights moving across slopes, voices where no people should be, and figures glimpsed near ridgelines before vanishing. Practical explanations include lanterns, aircraft, atmospheric effects, animals, and fatigue. Yet mountain legends often go beyond simple misidentification. They speak of hidden races, ancient guardians, spirit dwellers, and places where ordinary travelers are not welcome. Some people believe remote peaks act as natural boundaries between worlds because they rise above everyday life. Others think the danger of mountains encourages the mind to turn uncertainty into beings. The fascination remains because many accounts come from people who know the terrain well. When a local guide says a light moved where no path exists, the story changes. The mountain becomes not empty, but occupied by something that chooses distance. The Hexam Heads inspired fears of curses, werewolves, and ancient forces. In the 1970s, 2 small carved stone heads were reportedly found in a garden in northern England. What followed became one of Britain's strangest modern folklore cases. People connected the objects with poltergeist activity, bad luck, and even sightings of a wolf-like figure. Experts debated their age and origin, which only deepened the confusion. If the heads were ancient, they might have carried ritual significance. If they were modern, the fear around them became even more mysterious. How could simple objects generate such intense stories? Some people believe certain items can awaken forces connected to old land, old symbols, or forgotten practices. Skeptics see a chain of suggestion, media attention, and imagination. Yet the case remains memorable because it escalated so quickly from garden discovery to supernatural panic. The Hexam Heads show how an object does not need to be large to open a very strange door. Some people believe photographs can capture energy the eye misses. From the beginning of photography, people wondered whether cameras might reveal more than human sight. A plate, film strip, or digital sensor seems impartial, so when a strange blur or figure appears, it can feel like hidden evidence. Many ghost photographs have been explained through exposure errors, reflections, dust, movement, editing, or misunderstanding. That caution is necessary. Yet the idea remains seductive because cameras freeze a moment we cannot revisit. If something was there for only a fraction of a second, perhaps the lens caught what the mind overlooked. Some people believe emotional energy, spirit forms, or invisible presences can register as light anomalies. Others argue that every unexplained image becomes less mysterious when the process is understood. Still, photographs keep shaping paranormal belief because they are portable mysteries. You can hold one in your hand, point to the strange detail, and ask a simple question. What exactly are we looking at? The Poveglia Island legends mix history with intense paranormal reputation. This island near Venice has become famous for stories involving quarantine, isolation, and later institutional use. Its history is often retold in dramatic ways, and not every claim is easy to separate from exaggeration. That uncertainty has not weakened the legend. It has made the island feel even more forbidden. People speak of voices, oppressive sensations, and a sense that the land itself rejects visitors. Skeptics warn that abandoned places with grim reputations attract inflated stories. They are right to be cautious. Yet Poveglia fascinates because its setting feels naturally separated from ordinary life. Water surrounds it. Access is limited. The buildings decay away from daily attention. Some people believe places associated with fear and illness can become spiritually dense, as if too many final emotions were left without release. Others see the island as a mirror for our fear of being forgotten. Either way, Poveglia remains a place many prefer to discuss from a distance. Many ancient ruins have stories of voices heard after sunset. When daylight fades at an old site, the imagination changes quickly. Stones that seemed historical at noon begin to feel watchful. Visitors and guards have reported voices, chanting, footsteps, or murmurs in ruins where no one else was present. Sound behaves strangely in broken structures, and wind can move through gaps in ways that resemble speech. Animals, distant roads, and nearby settlements can also confuse the ear. Yet the stories remain powerful because ruins already feel incomplete. They are places where human purpose stopped, but the shape of that purpose remains. Some people believe rituals, gatherings, and daily life can leave sound traces behind. Others think the living mind supplies voices because silence in such places feels unnatural. The mystery is strongest when the words seem close, but cannot be understood. It is as if the past is still speaking in the next room, and the walls between then and now have partly fallen. The Betty and Barney Hill case connects missing time with cosmic mystery. In the 1960s, an American couple reported seeing a strange light while driving at night, then later believed they had lost a period of time they could not explain. Under hypnosis, they described an encounter with non-human beings that became one of the most famous alien abduction accounts. The case matters because it helped shape the language of many reports that followed. Missing time, medical examination themes, and fragmented memory all became part of the wider mystery. Skeptics point to stress, dreams, suggestion, and cultural influence. Believers argue that the couple seemed sincere and described an experience that changed them deeply. The paranormal element here is not a ghost, but a rupture in ordinary reality. A road trip becomes a question about who may be watching from beyond Earth. The case remains compelling because it begins so simply. Two people drive through the night, and afterward time itself seems to have a missing piece. Some hauntings are blamed on portals rather than individual spirits. In certain cases, witnesses describe activity that feels too varied to belong to one ghost. Different voices appear. Shapes change. Objects move in ways that seem disconnected from any single story. This has led to the idea of portals, places where many presences can enter rather than one spirit remaining. The theory is speculative, but it explains why some locations feel chaotic, unpredictable, and difficult to cleanse. Some people imagine a doorway opened by ritual, trauma, geography, or repeated attention. Others believe the portal idea is a way to organize confusing reports without enough evidence. Skeptics prefer simpler explanations, including suggestion, environmental stress, and mixed storytelling. Still, the concept remains popular because it makes a haunting feel larger than a personal ghost story. The house is not merely occupied. It is connected. That possibility changes the mood completely because closing a door is very different from asking one visitor to leave. The Nazca lines inspired theories about messages meant for the sky. In the desert of Peru, enormous lines and figures stretch across the ground, many best appreciated from above. Archaeological explanations connect them with culture, ritual, water, and sacred landscape. Yet their scale has inspired more speculative ideas for decades. Some people have imagined landing markers, signals to sky beings, or designs made with knowledge that feels strangely aerial. Mainstream explanations do not require aliens, but the mystery remains powerful because the viewpoint matters. Why make images so large that they only fully reveal themselves from high above? Practical answers exist, including nearby hills and ceremonial movement across the lines. Still, the skyward perspective keeps the alternative theories alive. The figures feel like a message addressed beyond ordinary human height. Whether sacred pathways, offerings, maps, or something far stranger, the Nazca lines remind us that ancient people sometimes worked at a scale that still challenges modern imagination. Many paranormal mysteries endure because every answer opens another door. A sound is explained as a pipe, but the voice on the recording remains. A photograph is dismissed, but the witness still remembers what happened before it was taken. A legend gains a rational explanation, then another version appears with details that do not fit. This is why paranormal mysteries survive. They are rarely one locked box with one missing key. They are networks of testimony, emotion, history, doubt, and wonder. Skeptics help sharpen the questions by removing weak claims. Believers keep attention on the cases that still feel unfinished. Between them sits the real fascination, where certainty softens and possibility remains. Some stories may be mistakes. Some may be folklore. Some may be experiences that science has not yet learned how to name. The unknown does not always vanish when we approach it. Sometimes it changes shape. That is why people keep listening, looking, and asking what else might be there. And so we come to the edge of these paranormal mysteries, where the ordinary world seems to loosen, just a little. Tonight, we have wandered through houses that knock back, voices caught on empty recordings, and figures seen only for a moment before they disappear. We have stepped into old hotels, lonely roads, watchful rooms, and places where history feels close enough to breathe. We have heard of haunted objects, strange lights, impossible footsteps, and stories that seem to travel from one generation to the next. Some of these mysteries may have simple answers. Some may have been shaped by memory, fear, grief, or expectation. And yet, there are still moments that refuse to settle neatly. A name spoken in an empty room. A photograph with one figure too many. A dream that arrives before the news. A place that feels changed the instant you step inside. That is the quiet pull of the paranormal. It does not always ask us to believe. Sometimes it only asks us to wonder. If you enjoyed this curious journey, you are warmly invited to like, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps others find their way here too. And if you happen to still be awake, there will be another mystery waiting on the screen for you, ready whenever you are. But for now, let the questions drift away. Let the strange houses grow still. Let the roads empty, the lights fade, and the old stories settle back into the dark. There is nothing more you need to solve tonight. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing slow. Let your mind release the last small threads of the day. Whatever waits beyond the edge of knowing can wait a little longer. Sleep well and good night.